Welcome to my first $2 deck tech for $2 Highlander. It's a format that we started to create a new meta for Commander, make it more accessible to new players or people who like to build lots of decks and don't feel like shelling out thousands of dollars. The first deck I built was Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts. At 7 mana, she's kind of hard to cast, so you definitely have to stall in the early game and find some card draw and make sure you hit land drops every turn. But once she's out, she's very strong, hits for 4 with Vigilance every turn, starts clocking people for Commander damage. She's difficult to remove, and people generally don't want to attack you once she's on the battlefield. She will usually get blown up once or twice, so having the backup plan of Recursion is great for her, so you don't have to cast her for 9. Unburial Rites, great card advantage card. Just bringing back any of the ETB effects that you have in this deck, very strong. Fated Return can just blow people out because you're doing it at instant speed. You can also make Teysa permanently indestructible, which is really strong for the late game. Can also target other people's graveyards. Animate Dead and Dance of the Dead, a similar effect for 2 mana, are both under 2. And God's Willing, just a little protection spell for her, kind of a white counter spell when people are trying to remove her from the game. How to get all these cards in your hand? Well, we're playing black, so we're probably going to have to pay some life. Promise of Power. You often get to 9 mana in this deck, so casting it for the Entwine is great because you also get the Demon in play. Dark Tutelage I wouldn't normally recommend for EDH, but you're playing Orzhov, you're going to gain some life, and even though your curve goes to 8 and you lose big chunks sometimes, this card's just really strong at making you hit your land drops. Underworld Connections, another card draw engine, as well as Greed. Pay 2 life to draw a card, just very solid. And hey, let's gain it all back with Resolute Archangel. Why not? If this dies, hey, why not return it again? I've gotten tons of value out of this card. If you've never played it, give it a shot. I think you'll love it, especially if you're not gaining life in a lot of other ways. It's nice to always have one card. This deck, however, is gaining life in lots of ways. Obsidat Ghost Council helps with that. Also can be kind of a backup plan finisher to Teysa. Card's great because you flicker it out and then you can wrath the board, and then on your turn it comes back into play again. Divinity of Pride has been reprinted enough times that it makes the cut for $2. This is just a really strong card in Commander. Kind of exploits the 40 starting life total, much like Sarah Ascendant, which luckily is not under 2. Exsanguinate, great finisher. I've had lots of games that I should have lost, and I was able to pull out of defeat with this card. Also great in this deck when we get to effects like Sanguine Bond and Viscopa Guildmage, which can double and sometimes triple how much life you're losing and gaining and making other people lose. Worst Fears, great blowout card, especially with Teysa. Forcing your opponents to tack into Teysa and then having them all be destroyed. It's just a really fun synergy. If you've ever had this card cast against you, you know what a beating it can be. Really fun to take other people's turns too. I don't recommend this for lots of decks, but in this particular deck, you're going to get to 8 mana, and you're going to be able to really hose people with this card. Volatile Archangel, great utility land, more lifelink, more death touch, just what the doctor ordered. And then probably the jankiest card in the deck, Hedron Matrix. It gives Teysa +7/+7, so she becomes a 2-turn clock for general damage. Just a really funny finisher to pull out against people. One of the strongest cards in the format is Identity Crisis. This card is great at hosing control decks that have been building up cards. You can catch them tapped out and just ruin their day. Also great for exiling those pesky graveyards for people who are reanimating things or flashing back or whatever they might be doing. If you've ever had this cast against you, it's just the feel-bad moment of the week. It always hurts. It's never fun. Meekstone, really great with Teysa because of the Vigilance. So all of your things are tapped, can't untap, and I just keep hitting you for 4. Hoses a lot of strategies. Really good card. Really great utility card. Withering Boon, no one expects. Well worth the 3 life to counter a spell in black. Pithing Needle, just a really underrated card, I think, in EDH. I don't recommend it for all decks, but especially non-blue control decks. So just a great way to deal with random threats that have activated abilities and can just blow you out over time. People just love getting their things Pithing Needle. It's a really funny thing to do. Also funny, Nevermoring someone's general, especially when they don't have enchantment removal, can just really ruin their day. I like non-blue control. I think it's fun because it deals with threats in a different way other than just countering them. Blind Obedience, really strong against Artifact Ramp, Haste creatures, also gives you the Extort. Just one more way to get some life back in this deck. Sphere of Safety to shut down the aggro decks. I end up with several enchantments in this deck often. I can usually get up to 2 or 3. Makes it hard for people to come get me. Merciless Eviction is probably the best removal in the format. It's kind of the austere command of the format. You only choose one mode, but you're exiling, which can be really relevant. Just blowing out like the Glissa player by getting rid of their artifacts, or getting rid of Sun Titans with the exile creatures. Getting rid of enchantments if someone's just got that enchantment lock going on. Really powerful card. Utter End, also really strong. Utility card, I'm glad to see this under 2. Just gets rid of anything that's bothering you. Ashen Rider sort of does the same thing. Not the best card to flip over with Dark Tutelage, but reanimating this or having it die and getting 2 or 3 exiles out of this card is just really strong. Decree of Pain just gets you all the cards. The -2/-2 is great against small aggro decks, so in a pinch you can just sort of get rid of hard to deal with creatures like Narset or Azuri or whatever's going on. Route, super strong card. Cast this at 7 mana almost every time, but in a pinch you can cast it for 5 as a sorcery and just get that board state back under control. Return to Dust, another great utility card. This deck is all about having multiple ways to deal with multiple threats and just trying to maximize the value of your cards and play politically. It's a really fun deck to play. Sunblast Angel, another way to kind of destroy all the creatures, get an extra body on the playing field, and keep the game going long. So that's my Teysa deck. If you're interested in 2DH, feel free to leave a comment below. I can direct you to the Facebook group. You can add the group at 2DH, or you can message me. I can tell you more about it. Mostly we're local to Seattle right now. We play at Card Kingdom every Thursday night at 6 p.m. And you might think that $2 is going to really limit kind of the fun you can have with Magic or what you can do, but we found it's makes you think creatively and try to reestablish what the best cards in the format are. Creates a brand new meta, and everyone who's tried it has pretty much liked it. So feel free to jump in. The decks tend to be $40 to $50. We're always happy to help people build decks, give recommendations, whatever you're interested in. So hit us up. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.